guys, how you doing? This is Manga, etc. and I'm here today to bring in the review for One Piece episode 1043. Now, I don't know if you watched my review for last week's episode, but basically in that review, I was basically saying that how, yes, the illusion mist thing did happen. It wasn't shown to us to this degree in the manga, and my complaint about it in the anime is that it was too flashback focused. We know Robin's backstory, so therefore there was too much emphasis on the backstory, and I said that what they could have done to make it better was have more emphasis on Robin actually fighting Sal, fighting her mum. That would have been better than basically giving us a retelling of Nico's backstory, which all our hardcore fans, even the most sort of casual fans, if you're still watching One Piece and you're in one, even the most of casual fans know enough of Robin's backstory to not be reminded of it at this point. It wasn't necessary, just wasn't needed, and that was my gripe with last week's episode. This week's episode improves on that, just a little bit. It improved it. It was almost perfect, but then they went too far and just improved it. Because in this week's episode, I can't remember if it's ever told to us if that Brook also went through the illusion mist thing, but it definitely was not shown to us. I can guarantee that with my life. But we see that today within this episode, and it started off good. I was liking it, so I was liking it as it started off. In fact, I feel like it was wrapped up, but then they continued it, and now I think it's the first time they cut away from it when we basically see Robin just say, "Oh," have a comment and say, "Oh, that's terrible," something along them lines to Brook. But then they go back into it. They go back into his backstory, his past, his what happened to him in past even more. That is where I think was the overkill. If they had just left it where they did it, where we see bits and pieces of Brook's backstory to remind us of characters' names like Captain, was it Yoki or Corky? Little reminder, and then we get to see the fighting. I still personally think we could have more emphasis on the fighting rather than memory, but that'll be a each to your own kind of thing. But if they had just left it like I said they should have, that would have been perfect. But continuing it on made it even worse. But I get it. I always know why they're doing these things, to stretch out the length of the episode, to not take up too much manga material within one episode. I get it. I get the technique. But there's always ways to be better. It could have been better. So after that, after Flashback City, after Flashback City, we actually get into some real-time action, which is Black Maria versus Robin, and basically Brook versus the minions, the fodder, whichever way you want to call them. So you got to really say that Brook is the MVP for this episode, even though Brook plays a very the minorest of parts in this fight, which is Black Maria and company versus Nico, Robin and company. Brook is showcased to be the MVP for this episode. We see him take out that fire spinning wheel thing, and then we again let him see him take out, I think it's three fodders. I can't remember how much, 3 fodders, but because of the flashback at the beginning of the episode and then him doing that after, it highlighted him as the MVP of the episode. And I also did notice up in animation for his attacking scenes. So yeah, Brook definitely MVP for this episode. That's how it's showcased. What I liked about this episode, and I guess I liked it in the manga as well, is because I think when this was happening in the manga, I initially thought it was going to be Brook and Robin versus Black Maria. Well, this episode highlights that Robin has got this. I don't know why I keep saying her full name, but Robin has got this on her, and she even says like, "Yo, Brook, I got this." Before Brook goes and deals with for the enemies, and the fight starts off within this episode. We see Nico, Robin. Sorry, I don't know why I keep using her full name. I'm sorry. We see Robin go into a giant mode, a mode we have not seen. Yeah, this is the first time we've seen that, I'm pretty sure it is. And we see the fight start off. It doesn't start off in Robin's favour, I'm not going to lie. You see her using the giant snake arms, but Black Maria's not backing down. She's able to cut said arms, and obviously, as we know prior, when even if it's not Robin's actual limbs, if a limb does feel damage, the damage is transferred to the actual body. So we see that in play as well. And that's everything involving Straw Hat members within this episode. That takes up a big majority of the episode, but we do flash back to the main guy, our main character, Luffy, at the end of the episode, and it's just basically he's hungry. The house pirates have been able to get him some meat, but it's not enough meat to deal with Luffy's hunger, if you will. And as part of the episode goes on, we see, what's his name, Caribou, he's got some meat on him, he's got food on him rather. I didn't see a lot of meat, but he's got some food on him. He meets into the Heart's Pirates. He's on his own agenda, but I'm guessing, actually I know that Luffy's going to get this food. But I guess the most important bit of the Luffy stuff within this episode is basically the hint to how he's going to get back to Onigashima, because we have Luffy, he's like, yo, Momo. They had a bit of talking in this episode as well, where Luffy's trying to motivate Momo to basically grow up, stop crying, you're gonna be future Shogun and all that stuff. But he also does ask Momo, like, yo, I need you to transform into a dragon again and fly us back up there. I will defeat Kaido, kind of thing. And that's how the episode ebbs off. So like I said at the beginning of the episode, was an improvement off of last week's episode. Therefore, the pacing was better than last week's episode. The action was good on Brook's part. Like I said, I noticed it up in the animation. And it just this episode really highlighted Brook as the MVP. And it does set up, which will be Robin's greatest fight. But then again, Robin doesn't have a lot of fights on her card to go by, but I do believe it deserves a 3-star rating. And like always, guys, I'm asking for your thoughts and opinions. If you haven't already, please go to my YouTube channel. But most importantly, take care. Have a nice day.